In this video, I want to explain why your mind races at night and why it often has to do more with unprocessed emotions rather than insomnia. I've coached a ton of clients who've come to us and they say, my problem is sleep. I have difficulty with sleeping. Sleeping is the root of the problem. And then with a little bit of investigative work, for a lot of these clients, sleep is not the problem. The problem is anxiety. That's the root. And a symptom of the problem is the insomnia, the difficulty sleeping. Check out this Reddit post that sums this up perfectly. As soon as the house gets quiet and the baby finally goes down, my body just won't shut off. So it's interesting that they don't feel this during the day. But as soon as everything goes quiet, it's like someone's turning up the anxiety knob. What the heck is going on there? So what's important to understand is that nighttime anxiety doesn't usually mean that your anxiety just gets worse at 8 p.m. Like it's like a biological clock thing. It means that the day was so busy that you were able to bury all that anxiety. This means replaying conversations in your head, remembering unfinished tasks, sudden guilt or dread, random memories resurfacing that have like a powerful emotional association with them. So when people come to us in this mental health clinic and working as an ADHD coach, you see a lot of people whose minds race and they say, Daniel, my sleep is terrible. One of the first things I ask is, how many hours of sleep are you getting a night? And they'll say, oh, it's about 6 or 7. I say, okay. Are those 6 or 7 hours interrupted or uninterrupted? Because that's going to impact the quality. The next question might be, tell me, when do you go to bed versus when do you fall asleep at night? You might tell me you go to bed at 11 p.m., but you might fall asleep at 1 a.m. You might tell me you wake up at 7 a.m., but by the time you finish scrolling, you get out of bed at 7:30 a.m. If people are interested in this, the leading researcher, or one of the leading researchers, Dr. Matthew Walker, has some really cool stuff out there. Look into sleep restriction therapy and also sleep efficiency. You're going to really love it. So what to recognize is, look, are there some people where the root problem is insomnia? Absolutely. However, this is specifically for those people where there's something else going on, right? They're quote unquote, some of them are doing the good protocols. Now, why do I lean towards anxiety? It's with those clients who say, Daniel, I have a wind down routine. I don't doom scroll right before bed, or, I try my best not to. I listen to my Huberman protocols. I'm turning off all the lights. When they're doing all the proper sleep hygiene and still their mind races, that's when I start getting curious about something else going on. So imagine someone opens up their eyes in the morning and the first thing they do is they grab their phone. While they're making breakfast, they listen to a podcast. Maybe they ride the bus or they drive to work, they listen to something else. At work, they're intently focused, they're talking to coworkers. Then they come home while they're eating, they're watching a YouTube video. While they're doing laundry, they're watching something else. While they're lying in bed, they turn off their phone. Then what happens? In other words, I have been occupying my mind with things the whole day. So what happens the moment there is silence? One of my colleagues had this really cool analogy. She said, imagine you have a beach ball and you try to push it under the water. You can push and push and push, but eventually, if you stop pushing, that ball's going to come right back up. So what's happened is that a lot of people have lost the appreciation of sitting in silence. And when the world becomes quiet, we feel uncomfortable. We need to fill that silence. So to quote a lot of my female friends, they put on, what was it? Serial killer crime documentaries to fall asleep to. And if you're one of those listeners, you're not alone. There's a lot of you out there. So, one of the big things that is really, really messing people up is this idea of multitasking. Now, I'll be the first to admit I do this too, right? When I'm eating food, I like to watch TV. When I'm doing a chore that feels boring, I like to listen to a podcast because it makes me feel productive. When I go to the gym and I'm working out, I like to listen to music. I'm not saying we shouldn't do that and we should always focus on one activity. However, you need to realize that when we multitask, and then we stop, it's going to be very difficult. it's going to make doing one activity in and of itself a lot more boring. Case in point, listening to music on the bus versus not listening at all. Listening to music while you're working out versus just lifting weights without listening to anything. So the benefit of this stuff of multitasking, of listening to things, is that it helps temporarily suppress or minimize anxiety. If I have worries about the party tonight and what I'm going to do and what I'm going to wear, well, as long as I'm listening to this deep self-development podcast about these tertiary concepts and I'm learning about acetylcholine and different neurotransmitters, my brain is occupied, I'm feeling productive, and I'm not worrying. The big reason why this backfires is that if I do this too much, my mind will forget how to sit with itself. And it will make feelings of boredom deeply uncomfortable and something that needs to be fixed. Boredom is a problem that I need to solve. I should never be bored 24 hours of the day. Right? So if I'm waiting for my friend at the restaurant, I'm not going to be a creep and like stare at people watch. I'm going to go on my phone. And then whenever he shows up, then I'll put my phone away. So let's think about this. You are watching stuff all day. You lie in bed at 10:30 p.m. As you lie down, a thought pumps up. Oh man, I'm meeting that group member tomorrow who I know is not going to get her stuff done, and she's going to bring up an excuse about why she can't get it done. And man, she is so flaky, but I can't call her out on it. As I'm having that thought, what happens to my body physiologically? For some people, it means increased heart rate. For some, it means tension in the body, maybe a dry mouth, maybe sweating, maybe some tension in the jaw, maybe a racing mind. What do? We go, well, I can't fall asleep now. I need to find a way to decrease the anxiety. That's when we'll grab a phone. That's when maybe we'll take melatonin. That's when we will find something, video games or TV, to then stop thinking about those negative thoughts. As we do this, what happens to my feelings of anxiety? They will decrease. As I engage in a behavior and my anxiety decreases, I am then reinforcing whatever behavior I just engaged in. So if I'm lying in bed at night, I have a thought. That thought then makes me feel anxious. The anxiety then makes me scroll on my phone, or it makes me get out of bed and go play video games, or it makes me do 100 push-ups. I am now teaching my mind that if I feel anxious or if I have this negative thought, this is the right way to go about it. And not learning to accept it and to truly process it. So the really big thing is that silence feels threatening. There's a lot of people listening to this that have baggage, that have unprocessed emotions, maybe that have some sort of trauma that hasn't been dealt with. And as a result, that stuff keeps floating up to the surface. And if I don't make time in my everyday life to acknowledge it, it will make time, whether you want to or not. You could be watching TV with your spouse, or you could be lying in bed in this case. Another big thing to realize is that if something makes me feel uncomfortable, does that mean it is a bad thing? Reframing. For some, it's, this makes me feel uncomfortable, so I will walk away. Compared to, this makes me feel uncomfortable, what an amazing opportunity. This is where growth happens. Our goal isn't to stop the thoughts. It's to stop treating them like emergencies. It's when I have a thought of what if something goes wrong tomorrow, my brain doesn't pull the fire alarm, I don't start sweating, my heart rate doesn't increase, therefore I have to give in to smoking or going on my phone or doing whatever. So the first thing we need to do is we need to start exercising little ways to get comfortable with silence, or at the very least, monotasking, doing one task just on its own. If watching TV without scrolling feels unbearable, that's information to you, not necessarily failure. So if I'm watching TV and I need to go on my phone, what it's telling me is that whatever's on the TV is not engaging enough to capture my attention. Maybe I just need to watch something else. When was the last time you ate a meal without distracting yourself? Next time you're going to have breakfast or lunch or dinner or heck, maybe just a cup of tea. I know this is going to sound crazy. Don't watch a YouTube video while doing it. I want you to actually think about the taste, whether it's green tea, whether it's a cup of coffee. I want you to bring it up to your nose and smell it. Take it in. Be intentional about what you're putting into your body. Here's another one. If you go to the gym or you've exercised in general, do so without music. Anecdotally, I have never in my life felt the mind-body connection or the mind-muscle connection when I was lifting weights in the gym without listening to music. Here's the game. Take your music with you. Take your earbuds or your headphones. Have them close, but don't actually put them on. And if after 5 or 10 minutes it's really terrible, I guess you can. But really try. And notice how your mind will pay attention to every muscle when you do the bench press or when you're running or when you're doing glute bridges. Because you're not thinking about singing along. You're purely focused on your body and on form, posture, and technique. When you lie in bed at night, I know it sounds like this is a problem. I know it sounds like my mind is attacking me. Anxiety is consuming me. Folks, your mind isn't attacking you. It's asking you for space. It's like, hey, we need to deal with this thing, man. You know, it's like you've got spoiled food or your grass is overgrown. We need to do something about this. And then what do? We say, yeah, whatever, and we turn a blind eye. So instead of being problem-oriented, Daniel, help me fix this. Help me get rid of my anxiety. What I really want to do is get curious. What is my mind trying to tell me? What are the things you've been avoiding lately? What are the conversations? What are the people you've been avoiding lately? And your mind's trying to remind you, hey, we've got some unfinished business. And if you don't take care of it through the day, I will remind you at night. Because we are not done here. So here are your options, folks. Intentionally make time to process these emotions throughout the day, or have your mind bring these up at night. So real quick, what do you do about this? Practice sitting with silence. If that feels too scary, the baby step is monotasking. Do one thing at a time, even if it's 5 minutes drinking water. And that is going to start moving you in the right direction of getting comfortable with silence. And over time, research shows you're going to experience a decrease in anxiety at night because it's able to come out throughout the day. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, follow, subscribe so you can find similar content that will build off of this into a deeper and more articulate understanding. Thank you, and stay safe.